Hey, it's me again, or it's just me if you've never been here before. For today, I am going to be talking about my favorite brushes from the latest Procreate update. This happened like a few months ago, and if you weren't aware and you are a Procreate user, there was like a whole new library introduced into the app of new brushes. So if you haven't updated your app, you should, because there's a bunch of free brushes in there. I have been just having a blast with the new library. I actually like almost now exclusively use brushes from that new library because they're by Kyle Webster and he's just great. He's just a brush god. So I feel really satisfied with those new free brushes. You know, that kind of lends itself to me, you know, digitally illustrating for you guys, a little bit of a updated process. And yeah, let's get set up for that. So I like to use my Sketchboard Pro when I know that I'm going to be locked in digitally painting. I get a lot of questions about this, so that's why I'm prefacing it now. This is a Sketchboard Pro, and it is essentially a holder for your iPad. I'm not sure if they make it for other tablets, don't quote me on it, but just check their website. And it has little legs on the back where you can adjust it to 3 different angles. I already have my drawing desk angled, so I'm just going to put it on the lowest angle. It's great because I can put like weight on it and I won't be as like shrimped up as I normally am on my iPad. So I'll just pop this out of the case. And as always, I'm using a paper-like screen protector because I just don't like the feeling of the glassy slipperiness when I'm drawing on it. And I also do like to use the paper-like graphite tips. I feel so YouTuber doing this. And now I'm all set up to start drawing. So I actually also already did some sketching in my sketchbook of what I kind of wanted to draw. I've had this idea of this character wearing like a cat hat for a long time now. Like, I think it goes back to like my old sketchbooks, but I never made anything of it, and I think I'm just gonna make like some sort of friendship illustration, and I'm thinking they're gonna be taking a nap on a tree stump. That's kind of the vibe that I'm going for. So I just did some quick practice, thumbnail sketches and stuff like that. So now cannot go into an illustration without doing that because it's too much pressure, and it's just better to go in prepared. I'm popping in an AirPod, all right? I need noise. I need something going on while I'm drawing. Here is my iPad all set up. Yes, I have a dangerously broken iPad charger. We're just gonna cope with it, all right? For this illustration, I want to go a little longer than square, I think. So I just have this automatic size saved called long. It's just 2400 by 3300 pixels. The DPI is 800. I know the minimum is 300, but I like to work honestly minimum 500, 600. I also sometimes will change the interface a bit here in preferences with this little wrench. You go to preferences and you can change the interface color. Lately, I've been more into the lighter color, so I just have that. And now we can quickly get into these brushes. So I do have a favorites folder, and if you don't know how to access this new Procreate library, you just tap your brush, you tap the word Procreate library, you can go back to libraries. This will take you back to all of the old brushes, while also, you know, I have a bunch of brushes that I've bought on here. So that's my old library, and then I can switch between the two of them. Like I said, I've been preferring this new Procreate library, so I kind of stick to this. These are all of my favorite brushes. They all kind of serve different purposes, but I really won't explore much further than these guys. I don't use all of them all of the time, but one of my favorites is Swansea from the pencils section. It's kind of like a 6B pencil if you're a Procreate veteran, you know, about 6B pencil. But to me, Swansea is even better. So I prefer Swansea. Next out of the pencils is Warata? Yeah, this guy right here. It's a pencil, much softer, wider. I can also get like different opacities with this. Very nice. Another pencil that I love is Lofty. like a little bit of a tighter, more precise pencil. Then from the pens, I do really like Mink. This pen right here, I think the little splotches are so pretty. Ooh, and I didn't even know I could layer it like that. But yeah, I love the line quality of this brush. Go Shock is one of my go-tos, so it's great for outlining and then filling in, as long as you keep those gaps covered. But it's great for that because you get that like raspy, rough edge. Swift is like a nice classic inking pen. I like the rough stuff, alright? I like the stuff that mimics traditional media. And then from the markers, I just have two brushes. I have this Magpie, which it's marker, but it's kind of like a brush marker because it's a little more painterly. And then we got Flynn. I like this one because I'm just a really big fan of super square or flat-edged brushes. So those are kind of my favorite. From pastels, I've been using these a lot lately. Miena is my favorite. Great pastel brush. And then Overland is another pastel brush. This is just kind of softer. Great for like layering over colors and stuff like that. The watercolors are something that I really love in the new Procreate library. I feel like watercolor brushes are, in my opinion, pretty difficult to make, and like I've just never really loved them, at least the free ones. But the watercolor ones are great. This one, Pacific Golden, beautiful. I love it so much. You can press down really hard or like keep it really light, and I love the way that it layers on top of itself. Love. Bridgewater, another great watercolor, but I think this is called like active brush, right? Like when like as you're putting down your stroke, you can like go back and you know what I'm talking about. But this one's pretty cool too. These two are just some painterly brushes from the painting section. Again, sucker for a flat or squared off brush. This is the only charcoal brush I have. Sometimes I do like a nice charcoal-y effect. These next ones are kind of circumstantial brushes. They're not really used for like painting, at least for me. So I have Mint brush. This is great for gradients or blushes, or when I just need something really soft and it has that like grain. So that's what I'll use that one for. Little Raven is the same, except it's not grainy, as you can see. Stanley is just your average, super basic brush with streamline. Honestly, I just use this to do like sticker outlines and stuff. I take what I said back. Billy Button is actually one that I use all the time. It's from the comics section, and it's just your classic jittery inking pen. I love it. I love it so much. This is what I use to like create all the outlines on my stickers and stuff. I love it. I got two halftone brushes. This one, Yellow Eye, is bigger and creates like a more even halftone, and then White Jasmine is much thinner, and it just has like a really cool painterly quality to it. And then look, if I press down really hard, I can like kind of get this effect going. Acacia's from the digital folder. This is like just an accent brush at the very end. It can be kind of cute to have this peeking out of illustrations. But yeah, super circumstantial. I mean, if you're like a super digital painting master, then I'm sure that you can do like a whole portrait with this, but I am not a digital painting master. So I just use this as a little accent at the end. So now it's time to actually get into it. And Just as a preface, I feel like lately my digital process has been really influenced by how I work traditionally. Well, not even lately, that's always been the case, but I kind of ebb and flow on how strongly that influence penetrates my digital process. But lately, it's been really strong. So I'm just gonna start with like super basic composition layout, then sketching, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna see. You're gonna see what I'm gonna do, but I'm just prefacing that. I have my sketch done. Now I'm actually going to get into the painting process, which lately I've been inking before actually painting or doodling or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and ink. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a fan of flat-ended brushes, so that's what I'm using, but I was not super happy with the color dynamics, so I'm just going into the brush settings and turning up that stroke color jitter. I usually like to mess around with hue and saturation, and I feel like it just gives it a little more of a painterly look. You'll be able to see here as I'm blocking in my basic colors that there are very subtle shifts in the color, and that's something that I think naturally happens when you're painting traditionally because it's like almost impossible to mix the same color over and over again, and then also as you dip your brush into slightly different colors, it might bring a little bit of one tone into the next. So I really enjoy that from traditional work, and I feel like I've been struggling a little bit with digital work lately because I love all of the quirks that come with working traditionally. But like with the purpose of this, I'm trying to learn how to bring some of that traditional process into digital. So like I mentioned, I am just blocking in these colors, kind of thinking about where I want the brighter colors to be, where I want the duller colors to be, and I talk about it a little more in the next clip, but I kind of had this goal of it being mostly green, but also mostly using brownish greens and grays and stuff like that to allow the super bright colors to pop. And this is such a like brain puzzle for me because I'm so bad at backgrounds and foliage and stuff, so this was a good challenge. I needed it, okay? Even if it's like not the most fun thing ever, I need to learn how I like to problem solve in backgrounds and such, because really that's probably why I don't like it as much, because it's a lot of problem solving and a lot of adjusting because you don't want to lose detail and you don't want tangents or anything unpleasant like that. So that's kind of what my focus was on with this piece and blocking in these nice neutral colors. All of my piece color blocked. I laid down all of my colors, and I have noticed that the pieces that really inspire me a lot in terms of color are actually pieces where they use a lot of browns and grays, and then to contrast that, they use like much brighter, more saturated colors. And I'm someone that, because I'm so obsessed with jamming in every color that I love into one piece, then all the colors, I feel like they don't pop out as much, because when every color is saturated, it doesn't let, you know, it doesn't let certain colors shine. So then like they all just kind of look the same in saturation. Whereas this time I used a lot more gray and brown, and I really toned down some greens and then like really brightened some of them up. So that was kind of my thought process. And now I'm just gonna render. For rendering, I like to use pastels and pencils. So I'm gonna go in with my Miena pastel and just render this bad boy and like add in the details, get that contrast in, and finish this bad boy up. So at this point, I am just rendering, like I mentioned, with some pencils and pastels. I like the scratchy quality that you get from pencils and pastels, so that's what I like to use. And this part is where, you know, pieces really start to come together, and you're also like cleaning things up and communicating elements a lot clearer. You know, this is kind of where you start leaving that trust the process phase. And I'm also actually constantly checking my values, which I think with this piece I didn't do my best at. There's a lot of mid-tones and stuff. I feel like I could have used some brighter tones in this to kind of give it a little more interest. But yeah, I basically just used Swansea, my gal, my favorite, and Miena, the pastel brush that I mentioned that is my favorite, to add in those details like the blades of the grass, the polka dots in the hat, the lines of the face and the clothes, the leaves, stuff like that. I don't super love it, but I knew I wasn't gonna super love it because I just need to get more like background and foliage practice in. It's not something that I love doing, but I think I just don't love doing it right now because I'm not that great at it. But this is a good practice, and I got to show you guys my favorite brushes in the new Procreate library. And thank you so much for being here. I'm kind of in a little bit of a artistic shift right now. So I appreciate you guys being here. And I also, of course, want to mention the sponsor for today, which is Squarespace. I so appreciate Squarespace. They're a longtime sponsor of this channel, and if you don't know who they are an all-in-one platform where you can create your very own website. It is the platform that I've always used to run my website. I have everything on there: my portfolio, my online art shop, my mail club, my contact form, my newsletter now as well. So Squarespace is great. They have a lot of tools, commerce tools, invoicing, members only pages, so much stuff. So if you're interested in Squarespace, you can go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and you can use my code for 10% off your first purchase. And I will catch you guys in the next one.